Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. People in Western Capital. Choose the Angel Bloodline at the start. Chapter 51. You just said that this is Mr. Ron's first time cooking fish head with chopped peppers. That means, you've eaten many other delicacies before, haven't you? Beerus looked at Whis suspiciously, and asked. That's definitely the case, you can tell from this guy's expression. But why didn't I smell such a fragrant smell before? Ho ho, of course not. Lord Beerus. Please believe me, how could I be the kind of person who eats alone? Whis said with an embarrassed smile that his own thoughts were exposed by Beerus. It's just that his smile reveals that what Beerus said is true. Cut, you actually eat delicious food while I'm asleep. Like clenching your fists tightly. Although he felt very annoyed, it was useless. Because the guy Whis is really too powerful. Moreover, he is still an angel, and he can't take advantage of him at all. Hi Ron, did you feed Whis a lot of delicious food before? Then Beerus turned his head, looked at Ron and asked. It's not bad, it's only 2 years. Ron looked at Beerus and answered. The Beerus in front of me is exactly the same as in the Dragon Ball Super animation, it is a tailless cat. And at this time, he was not wearing the uniform of Gods of Destruction, just wearing a light green pajamas. Giggle, Whis you fool. There are delicious things, but one person can enjoy them all alone. Beerus gritted his teeth angrily, and stared at Whis with a grin. This guy actually secretly ate so many delicacies while he was asleep. Whis could only smile awkwardly from the sidelines. Which planet are you from? I have been to many planets looking for food, but I have never smelled such a delicious taste. Beerus looked at Ron again, then asked curiously. I have been to any galaxy in the universe. Part of the reason is to destroy unnecessary planets in order to carry out Gods of Destruction missions. Another reason is to find food. Of course, you go out looking for good food more often than you go out to destroy the planet. I come from a remote planet in the northern galaxy. Even if I tell you, Lord Beerus won't know about it. Ron was just playing a blind eye. Then he continued. Okay, the chopped pepper fish head should be ready, you two can taste my handicraft. He does it just to divert attention. If Beerus and Whis discover the Earth at this time, it is obviously not good news for him. After speaking, Ron brought out the pepper fish head. The rich aroma immediately filled the entire kitchen. Beerus and Whis sniffed vigorously, and then a look of intoxication appeared on their faces. Even Whis, although the food I ate before feels delicious, it can be called gourmet food. But many of them are pre-packaged foods, which don't have this fragrance. Gulu, gululu. Looking at the fish head with chopped peppers in front of them, the two swallowed hard. Because from the color point of view, it is too attractive. Coupled with that almost unscented fragrance, this kind of temptation is simply irresistible for the two of them. I didn't expect to have delicious food just after waking up. After living for hundreds of millions of years, this kind of treatment seems to be the first time. If that's the case, then I won't be polite. After Beerus finished speaking, he sat down and picked up a piece of fish with his 2 sharp claws. Master Beerus, can you pay attention to how you eat? Anyway, you are also the Gods of Destruction of our 7th universe, can you use tools when eating? Looking at Beerus who was catching fish with his cat's claws, Whis said with a look of disgust. I didn't expect that I had guided him for such a long time, and this guy didn't listen at all. Cut, since you know that I am Gods of Destruction, then shut up and eat whatever you want. While talking, he put the fish in his mouth. After chewing it lightly a few times, an unbelievable light suddenly burst out from the eyes. This smell. Beerus was just so excited that he seemed a little speechless. He had never eaten such delicious food. It melts in the mouth, not only has the smell of fish, but also the spiciness is just right. What's the matter, Master Beerus, is it delicious? Whis, who was running away, saw Beerus's reaction, and quickly asked curiously. It's so delicious. This time, Beerus yelled out directly in his own high-pitched voice. He had never eaten such delicious food, and felt that every cell in his body was shaking with excitement. Is it really that delicious? Although Whis had no doubts about Ron's cooking skills, the canned catfish that this guy brought out last time really left a deep impression on him. So he didn't have much confidence in the fish. But looking at the appearance of Master Beerus, it is obvious that this fish head with chopped peppers is very delicious. Then he quickly took a piece and put it in his mouth. In that moment, Whis completely copy-pasted Beerus's expression. The whole body began to shake with excitement. Although in the past 2 years, he has eaten countless delicacies that Ron gave him. But I have never eaten such delicious food. At this moment, he really understood what food is. In the next second, the two began to gobble up the fish head with chopped peppers in time. In less than a minute, a fish head was left with only fish bones, not even a bit of chili flakes left. Beerus sucked his fingers vigorously, as if he was enjoying the fragrance lingering around his fingertips. Beerus also kept shaking his chopsticks. It was something Ron had taught him to use, and it was a habit now. Ron, are you being so unkind? In the past 2 years, I have earnestly guided you to practice, and you have never brought out such delicious food. Whis looked at Ron with an unsatisfactory face, and said reproachfully. Ha ha, I can't help it, I just researched these dishes recently. Looking at Whis who was complaining, Ron could only shrug his shoulders and said foolishly. Hee, it seems that I still have a good taste. I will have such a delicious delicacy when I wake up. Honestly, Whis, Ron's food is 10,000 times better than yours. Beerus smiled, then turned to Whis and said. In fact, in this world, the only thing that can make me feel so excited is food. Of course, there is also the compliment from Master Zeno. It's a pity that this kind of thing probably won't happen in my lifetime. I don't refute this sentence, the food made by Ron is indeed much more delicious than mine. But there are more delicious snacks, Mr. Beerus, you have never eaten. Whis nodded undeniably at first, and then spoke in a somewhat ostentatious manner. After all, I have been with Ron for 2 years. In the past 2 years, he would bring himself delicious food almost every day, as well as those delicious drinks. Nani, you idiot, you actually ate so much delicious food behind my back. I will never forgive you. And you Ron, you have to cook me more delicious food before I forgive you. After hearing Whis' provocation, Beerus frowned, and then said dissatisfied. I am the gods of destruction of this universe, okay. Although it is said that Whis has a higher god position than himself, this universe still has the final say. These two guys actually hide that they have eaten so many delicious food, and I will not forgive them so easily. Unless they make better food for themselves. Lord Beerus, although you are the gods of destruction of the 7th universe. If I still have to emphasize, I am not your personal chef. The reason why I make delicious food for Whis to taste is because there is a condition between us. I make some delicious food for him to eat, and he is responsible for training me. I increase my strength. If you want to eat more delicacies in the future, you can also train me some unique skills that you are better at, so that I can help you make more delicious delicacies. Seeing Beerus's displeased face, Ron said flatly. Between myself and Whis, although a little friendship has developed in the past 2 years. But in the final analysis, the two of them were still involved in interests from the beginning. In fact, I know that although Beerus is not as strong as Whis, he is definitely not weak. In particular, he also mastered the Gods of Destruction skill, which is a god skill not weaker than Ultra Instinct. Because in the latest Dragon Ball Ultra manga, Son Goku, who had mastered the perfect Ultra Instinct, was directly defeated by Granola. And Vegeta, who has already comprehended the form of Gods of Destruction, has the strength to beat Granola violently. Although there may be a reversal of the plot in the end. But it is undeniable that the Gods of Destruction form that has mastered the power of destruction is indeed relatively powerful. Although I don't know if my angel blood can master the form of Gods of Destruction. But as long as you have the chance, you can still try it yourself. After all, I will never dislike myself for mastering more abilities. Ooh, Whis glanced at Ron in surprise. You must know that Ron now knows that Master Beerus is the Gods of Destruction of the 7th universe. But he still has such a request. That means that he is not actually afraid of Gods of Destruction in his heart, or that he is determined that Lord Beerus will agree. Because food may be average to others. But if I didn't tell myself and Master Beerus, there was almost no resistance. Cut, you fool, do you even know who you're talking to? I am the Gods of Destruction of this universe, and I control the life and death of all planets in this universe. You are actually talking about conditions in front of me now. Beerus's face changed slightly, his cat eyes were half closed, and he stared at Ron and said. To be honest, when I went to other planets to look for food, which planet's leader was not respectful, and respectfully offered the most delicious food on my planet. But this guy Ron has been living on his own planet for 2 years without knowing it, and now he still talks to himself. It's just a little too much. If it wasn't for the fact that the food he made was so delicious, I would have destroyed him on the spot. After all, Gods of Destruction also has the majesty of Gods of Destruction. It's natural. In addition to teaching me some special abilities, Master Beerus must agree to another request. Of course, I will also show my true craftsmanship and make exquisite delicacies for Mr. Beerus to taste. Ron nodded seriously first, and then said to Beerus with a seductive expression. What? One more request? Beerus's expression changed again. But when he heard that he made a superb food and showed real craftsmanship, Beerus began to waver. In fact, his Gods of Destruction skill is not a secret. After thinking for a moment, Beerus nodded. Anyway, this is a win-win thing. The Ron in front of him seems to be very talented, and he can feel a lot of power from his body. Maybe I can teach him the skills of God first, and then make him a candidate for the 7th universe Gods of Destruction or something. And this kind of thing can be completely decided by oneself. Mr. Boxing Champion and Mr. Grand Priest will not interfere at all. Let's talk. You just said that there is another request, what is it? After agreeing, Beerus asked. As long as the request is not too excessive, I will agree to it. Actually, it's not a troublesome thing. It's just that I hope to compete with Master Beerus once in a while, so that I can roughly know the gap between me and Master Beerus. Ron said seriously. After these 2 years of training, his strength and combat effectiveness have indeed been improved, which has been greatly improved. But there must still be a big gap between Gods of Destruction Beerus. Oh, so it's such a trivial matter. I agree. Beerus was very forthright this time, he waved his hand and agreed. To be honest, since I became Gods of Destruction, I have no opponent in this universe at all. And Gods of Destruction cannot fight between. But if you fight with Angel, the gap between the two is too big, and you don't have any combat experience at all. I have always longed for a hearty battle. But this kind of desire can only be a desire, because it is absolutely impossible for human beings to become the opponents of gods. Even less likely to be the greatest and greatest Gods of Destruction opponent. But looking at the guy in front of him, his strength seems to be pretty good. If he cultivated him a little bit, then he would be able to move his muscles and bones freely. In fact, this is not a bad thing for me. And if he becomes a candidate for Gods of Destruction in the future, it is very likely that he will also save some face for the 7th universe. So this matter, if you think about it carefully, you won't suffer. Of course, if it's just because of this benefit, I don't have so much time to pay attention to him. The most important reason is that this guy can make the best food. And this is also a temptation that makes him completely irresistible. Okay, if that's the case, I'll thank Lord Beerus first. Although he had already guessed that Beerus would agree, Ron didn't expect Beerus to agree so simply. In Dragon Ball Super, Beerus seeks out his dream rival, Super Saiyan God. In fact, I still want to experience a hearty battle. After all, being the Gods of Destruction of a universe is almost a stance of invincibility, and that invincibility is very lonely. He can't be Angel's opponent. But ordinary humans and gods are completely incomparable with Gods of Destruction. It is estimated that this is also the reason why he tried his best to find Super Saiyan God to fight with him. Hey, what shall we have for dinner tonight? By the way, there seems to be delicious food over there. Beerus asked, then looked at another iron. There seemed to be some meat in it, like the wings of a young bird from some planet. Yes, this is also my specialty. Coke chicken wings, Mr. Beerus can taste it. Ron brought over the Coke chicken wings. This dish is already very, very simple. In my own world, I guess it can be made casually. Coke chicken wings. It's a name I've never heard of before. But it seems to smell good, and it's quite fragrant. Hey, then let me taste it. Beerus directly used his cat's paw as a fork, and inserted a chicken wing into his mouth. In fact, the taste of Coca-Cola chicken wings is not as strong as the chopped pepper fish head just now, but it is definitely very good when you really eat it. After taking a bite, Beerus's face changed drastically again. The meat is very tender, and the taste of the meat is mixed with a sweet taste and an indescribable taste that is completely fusioned together. At that moment, both of Beerus's eyeballs bulged. How is it, Master Beerus, isn't it also very delicious? Looking at Beerus's expression, Whis knew that the cola chicken wings in front of him were definitely delicious. Otherwise, Master Beerus would not have shown such a retarded expression. Beerus didn't have the time to answer him at this time, so he picked up 2 more chicken wings and stuffed them into his mouth. Whis was naturally not to be outdone, and then the two began to compete to eat. Looking at the Beerus and Whis you fought for, Ron suddenly felt that these guys were actually quite pitiful. They are 2 simple dishes, but in their eyes they are the best dishes. In minutes, more than a dozen chicken wings were eaten by the 2 of them. Afterwards, Birdman still sipped the remaining sweetness on his fingers. Wow, I really didn't expect that there is such a delicious food in our 7th universe. I said, Whis, you are too incompetent to be an angel. How many times have I asked you to find a planet with delicious food? Why didn't you find Ron all these years ago? After enjoying it, Beerus asked Whis. The 7th universe has such delicacies, and this is the first time I have tasted it after living for hundreds of millions of years. Thinking about the food I ate before, it was simply not for human consumption. Master Beerus, didn't you follow me out every time? Why didn't you find it? Whis gave Beerus a big white eye, and then asked back. Master Beerus just likes to shirk all responsibilities on himself. But after hundreds of millions of years of getting along, I have already gotten used to it. Cut, that's all you can say. Beerus obviously didn't want to argue with Whis either. Because the food just now was really delicious, and the 2 dishes made me very satisfied. So at this time, he was also in a very good mood, so he didn't bother to argue with Whis. Ron, what are we having for dinner tonight? Beerus asked again. Let's have barbecue tonight. I will prepare some ingredients and drinks. But Lord Beerus better think about what he's going to teach me tomorrow. Ron said with a wicked smile. If you can learn Gods of Destruction skill with just a barbecue, it's really a very good deal. After all, too many skills don't overwhelm you. Fine. As long as the barbecue you mentioned satisfies me, I will teach you the Gods of Destruction from tomorrow. Sure enough, Beerus said very generously. After lunch, Whis continued to train Ron. And Beerus is completely, no sleepy at this time. Because the food just now seemed to still be lingering on the tip of my tongue, and the aroma could not dissipate for a long time. He has already begun to look forward to what he will eat tonight, and even tomorrow. Ron, today you and I will practice duel. Let me see how far you have improved in the past 2 years. After I understand your current true strength, I will also train you in other aspects according to the situation. Whis said to Ron with a serious face. Good. Ron nodded directly. In fact, he has always wanted to compete with Whis. Although I know very well that it is definitely impossible to be Whis' opponent, but in the contest with him, my strength may have a greater breakthrough and improvement. Just let me see how strong this kid is. See if he is eligible to be a candidate for Gods of Destruction in the 7th universe. Beerus was also full of curiosity, leaning directly on a recliner not far away, holding the back of his head with his hands and watching the battle. In fact, I have been Gods of Destruction for hundreds of millions of years, and I have been looking for someone who can become a candidate for Gods of Destruction. However, the comprehensive level of human beings in the 7th universe does not seem to be high, so I have never found a human being who can make my eyes shine. So I have never considered being a candidate for Gods of Destruction. Ron, use all your strength. You also know very well that my strength far exceeds yours. Angel Whis said with a smile. After 2 years of contact and getting along, it is estimated that Ron has a clearer understanding of his own strength. Although he doesn't know exactly what height he stands at, he should be able to realize that he is much stronger than him. Well, you're right. Ron nodded, then clenched his fists together. At that moment, the breath of God, as vast as the universe, burst out from the body instantly. The entire Gods of Destruction world seemed to tremble with this breath. Nani, is there such a huge amount of energy in this guy's body? Ron suddenly erupted with his godly aura, causing a shocked look on Beerus's face. This guy's strength is definitely not comparable to that of ordinary humans. It can even be said that he has surpassed all humans in the 7th universe. And what he erupted was not the breath of human beings, but the real breath of God. And this breath seems to be very similar to angel. It seems that it should be the effect of Whis' guidance. Oh, I haven't realized for so many days that Ron's strength has risen to such a level. Even Whis on the side was taken aback. Because in the recent period, Ron has been challenging the limits of his physical fitness. So I didn't seriously observe his strength. Many times I let him train alone, and then do some other things by myself. But this guy's current strength is much stronger than when he fought against the 6th Universe Gods of Destruction Champa last time. The combat power of 621Z, the unit value has reached 8. However, with such strength, it should not be Beerus's opponent. Ron also felt his own strength. Being able to directly skip the unit in 2 years, and increase his strength from 1100 Jing to 621Z, should he be the first person in the entire universe, right? Not bad, your current improvement speed seems to have surpassed Master Beerus back then. At this rate of improvement, it probably won't take a few years for you to reach the level of Master Beerus, or even surpass him. Whis nodded and praised. Although Beerus on the side was a little upset, he also knew that what Whis said was the truth. This guy was able to improve to such a level in a few years, and looking at Whis' surprised expression, he knew how powerful his cultivation potential was. Ha ha, who knows? Ron just smiled lightly, then clenched his fists tightly. Almost in the next second, he rushed directly towards Whis. At this point Ron's speed is very, very amazing. Because at this moment, he cast the perfect Ultra Instinct. If you want to compete with Whis, you can't use Ultra Instinct. Call out. Ron punched it out. The speed is astonishingly fast, and countless afterimages have already appeared on the trajectory along the way just now. The whole body looks extremely illusory. Ultra Instinct. I didn't expect to display all my strength as soon as I came up. Whis just smiled lightly, without much surprise on his face. Because he already knew that Ron had mastered the perfect Ultra Instinct. But even so, the Ultra Instinct has classes. Not just the Ultra Instinct Mega, or the Perfect Ultra Instinct Distinction. Just like Ron has also mastered the Perfect Ultra Instinct, but his Ultra Instinct is definitely not as powerful as his own. And the Ultra Instinct that he and other angels have mastered, compared with his father's Grand Priest, there is a big gap. Therefore, the comprehension of Ultra Instinct also has several levels. After finishing speaking, Whis just tilted his head slightly, and easily dodged Ron's fist. Cut. Are you kidding me? Is that boy Ron's speed so fast? Seeing Ron's sudden speed, Beerus showed a look of horror on his face. The power that this guy erupted just now surprised me enough. The speed he showed now shocked me once again. Was this guy really a human before? It's really suspicious. Are you kidding? The speed this guy displayed just now has surpassed some gods of destruction. Beerus narrowed his eyes slightly, looked at Ron, and seemed to suddenly remember something. Then there was a look of astonishment on his face again, and he said to himself, just now, this guy seems to have cast the Ultra Instinct. Did that Whis actually teach him the Ultra Instinct? When he thought of this, the astonishment on Beerus's face became even greater. You must know that in all gods of destruction, only you have mastered some Ultra Instinct fur. But just now, if this guy really used Ultra Instinct, let his Ultra Instinct must have reached a perfect level. Even if they are not as good as angels like Whis, they are already far beyond their own comprehension. If it takes only 2 years to master the perfect Ultra Instinct, then it has to be said that this guy's potential is really outrageous. More importantly, in addition to talent, one more important point in cultivating Ultra Instinct is that his mind must be calm. Without a peaceful and steady mind, it is impossible to truly master Ultra Instinct. And that guy, Whis, can be regarded as giving him everything. Meanwhile, on the other side, Ron kept attacking Whis. Ron felt that his speed had become very, very happy at this point. Almost every punch seems to be able to make the space start to vibrate. But even so, Whis still had a calm expression on his face, and then easily dodged all of Ron's attacks. Cut. Is this angel's strength? It seems that the gap between us is too huge. It's really not easy to surpass him. While launching the attack, Ron thought secretly. Whoosh. But even though he knew that he could never be Whis' opponent. But Ron never gave up, but continued to attack. The speed of punching is getting faster and faster, and the body skills are getting weirder. It's just that no matter how Ron improves, he still can't touch Whis' body. It took a full 3 minutes, although Ron felt that his speed was getting faster every time. But the ending is all the same, and Whis can't be touched at all. It seems that I can only use flash time skills. Since I obtained this ability, I have never used it. Today is just a good time to practice with Whis, to see if the ability of time can pose a slight threat to him. After launching almost thousands of attacks without touching Whis, Ron began to prepare to use the flash time technique. This is Hit's ultimate move, the 6th universe killer. With the flash time skill I have mastered now, I can only jump the time span of 0.1 second. If you are facing an ordinary opponent, or a player who is a little stronger than yourself, 0.1 seconds of flash time is enough for yourself to win. But Whis is different, because the gap between himself and him is too great. It is estimated that the flash time of 0.1 seconds will not have any effect. However, I also have my own ideas. Flash time skill. In the next second, Ron directly used the flash time skill. The body appeared behind Whis like a ghost. After performing the flash time skill, in fact, all a person's breath will disappear during this time period. So it is estimated that even gods of destruction Beerus will not be able to capture his breath during this time period. But Angel Whis can do it, because the time position he stands in has far surpassed the 0.1 second time he jumped. Call out. After performing the flash time skill, Ron punched Whis without saying a word. Whis didn't turn his head, but a slight side of his body, which easily dodged Ron's attack this time. Only this time, there was a look of surprise on his face. Time attack. When did Mr. Ron master the ability of time? No, this ability should be the same as the ability of the 6th universe killer Hit. Is it flash time? Isn't that the 6th universe Hit's unique skill? Mr. Ron has never been to the 6th universe, why can he master this ability? Although such an attack had absolutely no effect on Whis, he was very surprised. Because being able to control time is no longer something that a human being can do. 6th, Hit, the killer of the universe, lived for 1,000 years before he developed the flash time skill. But after getting along with Ron these days, he knew that Ron was only in his early 20s. That is, only 20 years. Even if he started practicing after he came out of the mother's womb, it would last more than 20 years. Over the past 20 years, not only have been able to master the perfect Ultra Instinct, but also have comprehended flash time skills. Definitely something unheard of before. Compared to Whis' surprise just now, the surprise on Beerus's face is more intense now. What, are you kidding again? The moment Ron attacked just now, his aura completely disappeared. Even I can't catch his breath. Beerus's eyes were already narrowed into 2 slits, staring intently at Ron. He felt that there were too many incredible things about this guy. Not only has he mastered the Ultra Instinct that even gods of destruction can't master, but now he's so fast that he can't even feel his aura. To be precise, it should not be something that can be done quickly. But in that instant, he completely disappeared in this space. Definitely a very special and mysterious ability. A human being can actually master abilities that even the gods of destruction can't understand. Just when Whis and Beerus were surprised, Ron's body disappeared again. Jumped directly for 0.1 seconds, and launched a fierce attack again. Although the jumping time is only 0.1 seconds, Ron is already very strong. In addition to the use of Ultra Instinct, the time of 0.1 seconds is already very against the sky. But even so, in front of the unfathomable angel, he still can't show any advantage. Whoosh! Ron's body kept appearing from all directions, and his fists and feet attacked Whis again and again. But every time, Whis could easily dodge him. It seems that the gap between me and Angel is still too big. I'm afraid it's not that simple to change this result in a short period of time. After attacking dozens of times, Ron could only think helplessly. Although I feel helpless, this is also expected. After all, Angel's level of strength is definitely not what he is now, an existence that can be imagined. Even if he also obtained Angel's bloodline, even an enhanced version of Angel's bloodline. But after all, Whis, these guys are old antiques, and they have lived at least hundreds of millions of years or even longer. Such a powerful force can only be bred in the long river of time. If I can surpass him in just a few years, then Angel is too miserable. Okay, let's call it a day. However, your performance has already surprised me. As long as you practice seriously, you may be able to reach my level after practicing for thousands of years. Whis naturally also saw that Ron didn't want to continue fighting with him at this time. Because the gap is too big, there is no fun in such a battle. Ron also stopped his attack, and directly took back all the breath of God into his body. The gap with Angel is indeed too big, but in the battle with him just now, while feeling his own inadequacy, he also felt that he had improved. Although that kind of improvement is not very big. For thousands of years, Ron froze for a moment. Even though I have obtained the blood of Angel, even though I have eternal life. But it will take thousands of years to reach the level of Whis, which is too long for me. Hey, you guys are really incredible. You should have been a human before, right? How could you have such terrifying strength? And you seem to have used some kind of very mysterious ability just now. After using this ability, the speed is so fast that even I, gods of destruction, can't see clearly. At this moment, gods of destruction Beerus came over, looked at Ron and said. Although he couldn't see Ron's movements clearly, he knew that he felt a little embarrassed. But this is also true, because after that guy used that ability just now, he really made himself completely unable to see his movements clearly. Ron, if I'm not mistaken, what you just used should be an ability to jump time. This ability is also mastered in the 6th universe, and it's called Flash Time Skill. I'm also very curious, how on earth did you master this ability? And when you fought Lord Champa last time, you didn't seem to have used this ability in that dangerous situation. Whis also walked up to Ron with curiosity on his face, and then spoke. The ability to master time is not something that ordinary humans can do. Even gods of destruction cannot transcend time. But Ron had just done it, and Hit of the 6th universe could do it too. Perhaps, this is talent. Looking at the two with curious and surprised faces, Ron shrugged and said perfunctorily. After all, I can't tell them directly that this ability is rewarded to me by the system. After hearing Whis' words, Beerus's expression changed drastically. It's because of the change in his complexion, not because of the fact that Ron has mastered the ability of time. It's because he heard Whis say that Ron actually fought Champa. Hey Whis, what did you mean by what you just said? You mean Ron fought that fat pig Champa? When did this happen? Hurry up and tell me what happened. Beerus said impatiently with a displeased face. You must know that Ron is a human from their 7th universe. And Champa, that dead fat pig, is the gods of destruction of the 6th universe. Logically speaking, the two of them have no intersection at all. But why is there a fight? Ho 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 ho, I forgot that Lord Beerus doesn't know about this yet. Whis smiled, and then explained. 2 years ago, when Ron was first discovered, it was because he had a fight with Master Champa. At that time, on the planet in the southern Milky Way, the battle between the two of them attracted my attention. Master Champa had already wanted to kill Ron at that time, so I went to have a look. After all, Master Beerus, you also know very well that Master Champa is the gods of destruction of the 6th universe. If you let him mess around in our 7th universe, you will definitely be angry when you wake up. So I can only take the liberty to stop him. Nani. After hearing Whis' explanation, Beerus's face became even uglier. Then he clenched his fist tightly, gritting his teeth and said, that dead fat pig Champa dared to come to our 7th universe to kill the humans in the 7th universe, it seems that he didn't take me seriously at all. Could it be that he wants to get rid of Ron because he knows Ron can cook food, so that I can't win the next food competition? It must be like this. Look at the determined Beerus. Ron, whisper. Beerus was indeed thinking too much. Because of the battle between the two of them, food has nothing to do with it. Master Beerus, you are thinking too much. Master Champa didn't fight Ron because of the food. Whis reminded. Snort. Anyway, that guy came to the 7th universe for no reason. With his character, there must be some kind of conspiracy. Beerus snorted coldly, then said firmly. The so-called no prophet, no early, is definitely talking about a guy like Champa. With his lazy character, if there was no conspiracy, or if the 7th universe didn't have what he wanted, he would never have traveled so far to the 7th universe. Whis, if they didn't come to the 7th universe because Ron can cook delicious food, do you know why they came to the 7th universe? Then Beerus asked. Although I and Champa are brothers, sometimes this guy has to be guarded. So he won't harm himself, but that guy has a lot of little things in his heart. It is still very possible to do a few things that make yourself look ugly. I don't know much about this, Lord Beerus. Whis shook his head and said. Although I have discovered that Lord Champa has come to the 7th universe several times before. But as for their purpose, I really haven't delved into it. Fine, be more careful in the future, and keep an eye on that fat pig Champa. Beerus could only speak lightly. But what he was thinking at this moment was, Ron, since he can make such delicious food. Then the next time I have a food confrontation with Champa, I am 100% sure to win. ... The day passed quickly. The next day, Beerus had a fight with Ron as promised. The main reason is because I like to eat food. But at the same time, I haven't had a hearty battle for many years. Watching the match between Ron and Whis yesterday, he thinks this guy is really good. Qualified to be your own opponent. Even if you may not be able to fight with all your strength, at least you should be able to exercise your muscles and bones. Ron, show off your full strength in a while. Use your ability to jump time, and don't disappoint me too much. Standing opposite, Beerus said to Ron with a smile on his lips. Relax, Lord Beerus, I shouldn't disappoint you. Ron shook his fist, and a look of excitement appeared on his face. At this point he felt more excited fighting Beerus than fighting Whis. The reason is simple, that guy Whis is too powerful. It can be said that the two of them are not in the same dimension at all. Although Beerus also has very strong strength. If his unit value is 10, then his combat power has at least reached the level of the ditch. And his current strength, after yesterday's battle with Whis, has indeed improved happily. But it's only 650 Z. You must know that there is still a unit of soil between Z and ditch. Even if you use the Freedom Extremely Easy skill and Flash Time skill by yourself, it is not so easy, and you can make up for this gap. Aha! But in the next second, Ron still showed all his strength. The combat power of 650 Z exploded in an instant, and the surrounding dust and gravel dispersed in an instant. The entire Gods of Destruction world trembled. Interesting. To be honest, even if you look at the 12 universes, there are no more than 5 fingers of human beings who can reach your level. Beerus nodded to Ron approvingly, and then spoke. In other universes, there are indeed some humans who are very powerful. But Ron's strength at this time can definitely rank among the top 5 in the universe. Even with his current combat power, it is estimated that it is enough to compete with Gods of Destruction at the level of the 2nd universe Gods of Destruction Hareth and the 9th universe Sidra. Even if this guy uses Ultra Instinct and the ability to jump time, it is estimated that he has a combat power not weaker than Champa. Of course, there is a premise that these Gods of Destruction do not use the power of destruction. If they use the power of destruction, Ron still can't be their opponent. Because only Gods of Destruction and angels know how powerful the Gods of Destruction skills and destructive power are. Top 5. Ron smiled. Among the human beings known to him, the power of the human Gyron from the 11th universe is likely to surpass his own. There is also a relatively strong player, Saiyan Brawley of the 7th universe. Although he may still be very weak at this time. But this guy can grow infinitely in battle. From the beginning, he couldn't even beat Vegeta in normal form, but after an hour of fighting, he was able to compete with the Super Blue Gogeta. This guy's combat power is definitely not weaker than Z's unit. And in the tournament of power, only 8 universes with a relatively low human level participated. There are also 4 universes with relatively high human level that did not participate in the competition. Maybe in these 4 universes, there are more powerful humans. Okay, you are already proud of being able to reach such a level at such a young age. If you can master the Gods of Destruction technique, then I can guarantee that there will be no human beings in the 12 universes to be your opponent. Even most of the Gods of Destruction can't do anything to you. As if seeing Ron's dissatisfaction, Beerus spoke. In fact, the stronger Ron becomes, the better it is for him, the Gods of Destruction of the 7th universe. After all, every few hundred or even thousands of years, Master Zeno and Grand Priest will conduct a human level assessment of all universes. And if the human level of universe is relatively low, it is definitely not a good thing. Maybe the appearance of Ron will improve the comprehensive human level of the 7th universe to a certain extent. In that case, I would like to thank Lord Beerus for his guidance. Ron smiled and spoke. Although he has obtained angel blood, but after all, his current strength is still very weak. Especially for guys like Angel and Gods of Destruction. And I don't have the identity of an angel, so Gods of Destruction is still Gods of Destruction in front of me. Especially since he is a person from the 7th universe, and Beerus is the Gods of Destruction of the 7th universe. If it was the Gods of Destruction from other universes, I wouldn't take them seriously at all. But judging from the current situation, whether Beerus is because of its own food or for other reasons, at least he was still friendly to himself. Bring it on. Beerus waved to Ron, indicated that he could display all his strength, and then attacked himself. Ron wasn't being polite either. He knew Beerus was still going strong. Although in the first part of Dragon Ball Super, especially in the final power conference, the appearance of perfect freedom Ji Gong and Jiren lowered the force of Gods of Destruction. But this does not mean that mastering Ultra Instinct or reaching the level of Jiren will not be weaker than Gods of Destruction. On the contrary, whether it is Jiren, the ceiling of human beings, or Son Goku who has mastered the perfect Ultra Instinct, there is still a big gap in front of Gods of Destruction. Because in the second comic of Dragon Ball, Gods of Destruction Beerus is still a ceiling level existence. Even Son Goku who has mastered the Ultra Instinct perfectly, or Vegeta who has mastered the form of Gods of Destruction, is not considered by Gods of Destruction Beerus at all. So the power of Gods of Destruction is still a mystery. Except for Angel, it is estimated that no human beings are considered. So, Ron cast Ultra Instinct directly. Flash time skill. The moment the slight voice fell, Ron's body instantly appeared behind Beerus. In that 0.1 second, his body disappeared again. That's right, it completely disappeared in this space. Let alone Gods of Destruction Beerus, even Angel Whis couldn't detect it. HMPH. A skill to jump time. If it is an opponent of the same level, this ability may be very useful, but for Gods of Destruction, it will not play any role at all. Beerus poked his lips lightly, obviously not paying attention to Shan Shigong. Then he narrowed his eyes slightly and turned to his right side. Without any hesitation, he punched out directly. Although it is said that the flash time skill is indeed very powerful. If the opponent's strength is similar to his own, or if the gap is not big, it can indeed play a winning role. But if the gap between the two is too large, or the time point where the opponent is standing far exceeds 0.1 seconds, the role of flash time skills will become negligible. Boom. In the next second, Gods of Destruction Beerus accurately judged Ron's direction. Then the fists of the two collided heavily. The moment the fists collided, Ron felt a force as vast as the universe directly pass from his arms into his body. This power is completely different from Whis. The power of Whis is a softer kind of power, like a boundless sea of Wang Yang. Even under this kind of collision, it will not hurt yourself. But the power of Beerus is like a flood that has burst its embankment, and it can burst out with amazing deterrent power in an instant. Call out. Almost at the moment when the two fists collided, Ron's body was directly sent flying. Rumble. Then, the body was directly inserted into a huge rock not far away. The rock exploded and turned directly into pieces of rubble. What a powerful force. Is this the strength of Gods of Destruction Beerus? Just by the strength of this punch, it can be judged that his strength is indeed much stronger than Gods of Destruction Champa. Immediately after standing up, he moved his numb arm, and Ron said with a serious face. Then Ron took a look at Beerus's fighting strength. The unit value is 9, and the combat power has reached 1000 soil. And I can feel that this simply cannot be the full power of Gods of Destruction Beerus. If he used all his strength, the unit value could definitely reach 10. A unit whose combat effectiveness can reach the ditch. Master Beerus, can't you be gentler? Did you know that this punch of yours could very well kill Ron? Whis complained from the side. TCH, what do you know? That guy Ron is very strong. If I don't take it seriously, how can I let her improve her own strength? Besides, didn't you see him stand up intact? This guy's strength is much stronger than I imagined. Hee. This really makes me a little unbelievable. During the decades when I slept, such a perverted human appeared in the 7th universe. Beerus pouted at Whis, then looked at Ron excitedly, and said, if this guy couldn't even bear his own punch, he would be too disappointed. Fortunately, he was stronger than he imagined, and also successfully withstood his own attack. As for Ron, who was standing on the other side, he felt that his body was quickly repairing the attack he had just suffered. And while repairing the injury, the energy is also rapidly increasing. This feeling has not appeared for 2 full years. Because in the past 2 years, I have almost no chance to play against Whis, and I have been doing physical training. I had this feeling just now, exactly the same as when I fought against Gods of Destruction Champa last time. Go ahead. This feeling made Ron excited all of a sudden. While clenching his fists, his body shot out like lightning. In an instant, it was in front of Beerus, and directly attacked at the fastest speed. Whoosh! Ron kept attacking, but Beerus squinted his eyes and moved back and forth with only one palm, and easily caught all of Ron's attacks. It has to be said that the gap between the two is still very large. The gap is so huge. Constantly launching attacks, Ron felt that the more he fought, the more depressed he became. Because at this time, I have exerted my speed and strength to the extreme. But everything that comes next can be understated by Beerus. Swipe. However, if you are depressed, the frequency of Ron's attacks has not decreased in any way, but the speed is getting faster and stronger. It's interesting, this guy seems to be a little stronger than before. As expected of a human genius, it took only a minute to fight against me, and his strength has improved again. Although such an improvement is completely worthless in front of his comprehensive strength. But some human geniuses spend their whole lives, and it is estimated that they are not as good as his improvement in just a few seconds. While Beerus took all of Ron's attacks calmly, he thought secretly. But at this moment, he suddenly caught the opening of Ron's attack. Then he punched out directly, hitting Ron's abdomen with precision. Boom! Wow! The instant the low crash sounded, a mouthful of blood spurted out directly from Ron's mouth. Then the body flew upside down. This time, Dao flew tens of thousands of feet before stopping. It can be seen that Beerus showed no mercy in this attack. Oh, Master Beerus, did you go too far? It's just a simple contest between you two. If there are a few more rounds, Ron will have to be killed by you. Seeing Ron being kicked out by Beerus again, and Master Beerus used stronger force this time. Whis spoke indignantly this time. If Ron is killed, then they won't be able to eat delicious food in the future. Snort. You guy, lived with Ron for 2 years, haven't you discovered his characteristics? Beerus glanced sideways at Whis, and then said with a look of disgust. In fact, after hitting Ron for the first time just now, he had already discovered a characteristic of this guy. The guy's resilience seems amazing. And after recovering from the injury, his strength will improve somewhat. Although this improvement is very insignificant in my own eyes. But just like I thought before, some human beings can't catch up with Ron's promotion for a few seconds even if they spend their entire lives. Recover from injury and become stronger. And this guy's body seems to be able to recover from injuries automatically. If this is the case, then his future achievements are absolutely limitless. Oh, since when did Master Beerus start to observe, and become good at discovering? Whis, on the other hand, looked at Beerus with a look of astonishment, and it seemed that there was a strong color of disdain between you. You must know that the thing that Master Beerus didn't like to do before was to use his brain. I didn't expect to take the initiative to use my brain today. Yes, this is a good improvement. Cut, don't be so weird here. Beerus also looked at him with contempt, and then continued, didn't you really notice that? After that guy was injured or received a powerful attack, he can quickly recover from his injuries, and while recovering from his injuries, his strength will follow. The punch I just had was very powerful. If it was someone with the same strength as him, this punch would be enough to hurt her. And Ron was indeed injured just now, but his injury healed quickly, and his strength has improved. If you don't believe me, just watch it. This time, he can also recover quickly, and his strength will also improve. After speaking, Beerus looked confident. Even a little proud. How did I become so smart all of a sudden? This time Whis did not refute. Because what Master Beerus said makes sense. 2 years ago, when Ron was fighting Lord Champa, there was a huge gap between the two, and Master Champa was determined to get rid of Ron directly. Several fatal attacks not only did not kill Ron. Instead, it made his strength soar. Even when he made the last shot, Ron didn't have any injuries on his body. And from the beginning to the end of the battle, his strength has indeed improved a lot. It seems that Master Beerus is right this time. Ron, this guy is so special. I used to think he was very similar to Angel. But now it looks completely different. Because Angel has no such function. After being injured, it is impossible to recover in such a short period of time, and it is even more impossible to improve strength while returning to the market. And as Beerus said, Ron had indeed been seriously injured in that attack just now. But his injury is recovering quickly. And the energy is constantly improving at the same time. It's awesome, that's the benefit of blood. I can feel a steady stream of energy being born in my body as the injury heals. Ron clenched his fists excitedly. This feeling of rapid strength improvement has not appeared for 2 full years. It seems that as long as he keeps fighting Beerus, his strength will improve rapidly. Maybe it won't take long before he can destroy Beerus himself. It is even possible to surpass it. In just 1 minute, Ron's injury had fully recovered. He couldn't feel any pain on his body, and at this time, his combat effectiveness had also improved the most. Originally, the combat power was only 650Z, but now the combat power has been increased to 900Z. The combat power of more than 200Z has almost increased by 1/3. See, Whis, that guy's strength has been greatly improved again. Although this kind of improvement is indeed insignificant compared with ours, but this kind of recovery and improvement speed is simply impossible for you and me to achieve. Beerus looked at Whis smugly and said, "It seems to be true. The last time he fought Lord Champa, I didn't observe him so seriously. Because at that time I felt that this guy seemed to be somewhat similar to our Angel, so I only cared about this matter and didn't care about why he recovered so quickly. But now it seems that this guy's talent is indeed terrifying. He can actually increase his energy while returning to the market." Whis also stared at Ron seriously and said, "If there is no limit to his ability, then it is probably not that difficult to surpass himself. It doesn't take as long as 1,000 years. Because as long as he is not completely killed, he will be able to improve forever and increase his combat effectiveness forever. So if this guy can become a candidate for gods of destruction in the 7th universe, it would be a very good thing." Beerus smiled and spoke. "Ho ho ho ho, isn't Master Beerus afraid that Ron will surpass you in strength?" Whis asked with a smile. "Cut, do you think gods of destruction can be surpassed so easily? And even if his strength can really surpass me, it will be after thousands of years." Beerus said confidently. After all, he has his own reasons for saying this, because there is indeed a big gap between the current Ron and him. And Ron didn't learn gods of destruction skill. So if you want to kill him, it is actually not a difficult thing. Hoo. Whis smiled, but didn't continue speaking. "Just practice for a few years under your own guidance. If he wants to surpass Lord Beerus, Ron has every hope. Because his cultivation talent has completely surpassed Master Beerus. Coupled with this special physique that can be improved after recovery, it is estimated that within a few years, it will be able to completely surpass all gods of destruction. But the premise is that he must master the gods of destruction skill of gods of destruction. You must know that there is a big gap between the real gods of destruction and the gods of destruction skills of the candidate gods of destruction. Just like the Ultra Instinct mastered by ordinary humans and the Ultra Instinct mastered by Angel, there is also a very big gap. Although Ron also mastered Ultra Instinct, and it can be regarded as the perfect Ultra Instinct. But compared with my own Ultra Instinct, there is a big gap. And there is a huge gap between my own Ultra Instinct and Grand Priests." While the two were talking, Ron's body rushed over again. Then came another attack like a storm. Naturally, Beerus didn't show any politeness, and unleashed a stronger force, constantly ravaging Ron. And Ron's strength is also growing rapidly. In this way, in the duel with Beerus, time passed day by day. And Beerus kept his promise. While exercising, he was also constantly teaching himself gods of destruction skills. A year almost flies by. And for a year, gods of destruction Beerus didn't sleep. Because the food Ron cooks is so delicious, he feels sleepy if he sleeps. But I have never been like this, without sleep for a whole year. Above gods of destruction, Ron's eyes were bright, his expression was solemn, and suddenly he raised his right hand, and a huge rock in front of him floated in midair. Then he shook his right hand lightly. Rumble! The huge rock exploded instantly. The terrifying explosion wave spread out in all directions. The entire Gods of Destruction world trembled violently following the explosion just now. The hurricane swept away the surrounding trees and gravel in an instant. And those rocks just now completely disappeared from this world, and no gravel or dust was produced at all. Instead, he completely disappeared in this world. And this is the result of Ron's practice this year. Gods of Destruction's God skills, destroying. An irresistible move. Not bad. The speed of your cultivation really surprised me. In just 1 year, the Gods of Destruction technique can produce such remarkable results while its strength continues to improve. Beerus was lying on the recliner at this time, with a straw stuck in his mouth, enjoying the iced Coke in the glass. During this year, most of the time he and Ron were practicing against each other. I have to say, Ron's growth rate is simply abnormal. In just 1 year, his strength had a huge improvement and breakthrough. Now his strength has surpassed most Gods of Destruction. It is estimated that apart from the Quitella of the 4th universe and the Beautiful One of the 11th universe, the other Gods of Destruction are no longer Ron's opponents. And this guy is very capable of learning. It's only been a year, and it took time to learn the Gods of Destruction skill, yet it was able to master it to such an extent. Destroying a planet or a galaxy is no longer difficult for him now. You must know that destroying planets, or other things, does not just use energy to destroy them. If it is to use energy to destroy a planet or destroy a galaxy, even if a universe is destroyed, it can be restored in some other way. However, if it is destroyed with the Gods of Destruction technique, it cannot be restored at all. Because things that are destroyed by destruction, they themselves will completely disappear from this world. Oh, perfect Ultra Instinct plus Gods of Destruction skills. To be honest, Ron is the first person to master these two abilities at the same time. Of course, that includes Gods of Destruction. Whis also spoke from the side. Although Master Beerus also mastered the Ultra Instinct. But what he has mastered is not the perfect Ultra Instinct, he just stepped into the threshold of Ultra Instinct with 1 foot. And Gods of Destruction has Gods of Destruction's God skills, so under normal circumstances they will not use this kind of calm Ultra Instinct. The Gods of Destruction technique really makes people feel quite comfortable. Ron withdrew his palm, then glanced at the huge sinkhole not far away, then smiled and said, "If it were destroyed with normal energy, the rock just now would not be able to cause such a great power at all. But if the rock is destroyed by destruction, the power caused is 100 times or even higher than that destroyed by energy. If someone was standing on the edge of the explosion just now, it is estimated that they would have disappeared without a trace with the explosion wave just now. How about it? Gods of Destruction's divine skill is more comfortable to stretch, right? I really enjoy this feeling of violent destruction, hee. A savage smile appeared on Beerus's mouth, and he said to Ron. In fact, each has its own advantages. Ultra Instinct is more about defense and dodging, but Gods of Destruction is about offense and infinite growth. So the combination of the two is actually the most powerful. Ron smiled and said, whether it's Gods of Destruction's Gods of Destruction skill, or Angel's perfect Ultra Instinct. It is a very powerful skill of God, and now I have mastered 2 abilities at the same time. And more importantly, after this year of continuous training with Beerus, his strength has been greatly improved. Now his own numerical unit has been raised to 9, and his combat power has reached 950 soil. If it is paired with Ultra Instinct, it will not be weaker than Gods of Destruction Beerus in a serious battle. If I see Gods of Destruction Champa next time, I am absolutely sure that I can beat him to the ground. Alright, now you have fully mastered the Gods of Destruction skill, and your strength has indeed improved a lot. Now I will give you the permission of Gods of Destruction. In the past few years, follow Whis to destroy some unnecessary planets. And me, after working hard for a whole year, I want to sleep well. But after waking up, I must eat delicious food that I have never eaten before. Beerus said to Ron with a righteous face. Forehead. Lord Beerus will really find excuses for his laziness and snooze. Whis gave another look of contempt. Now this guy is getting ready to be a hands-off shopkeeper. He knows how to eat and sleep by himself, and even the basic responsibilities of gods of destruction have been handed over to Ron. Chapter 61. Cut the crap, Whis. My main purpose of doing this is to let Ron get used to being gods of destruction in advance. Anyway, I have already decided. I have taught him to destroy, so he will become the 7th universe gods of destruction in the future. It's reasonable to get acquainted with the business of gods of destruction now, right? Beerus raised the corners of his mouth, and said to Whis with a gesture that made sense. Oh, there's really nothing I can do about you. Whis didn't want to argue with this guy anymore. Anyway, I don't want to sleep every time, but I can't stop it. Now that Master Beerus is asleep, he can eat more delicious food. And no one will compete with me in the future. As for Ron on the side, he didn't speak. For the location of gods of destruction, he has no idea at all. But presumably the destruction is a few million years away when Beerus retires. And after millions of years, what kind of strength his own strength will reach, even he dare not imagine. But what is certain is that at that time, it was absolutely impossible for me to be satisfied with the position of gods of destruction. So now I don't need to think about these things at all. Okay, you two can do whatever you want. I'm going to sleep. After eloquently speaking, gods of destruction, Beerus walked directly to his palace. When I woke up this time, I hadn't slept for a year. And I didn't even take a nap. To be honest, I'm very sleepy now. It is estimated that after this sleep, I will sleep for a long time. Whis and Ron also looked helpless. But it's good if this guy is asleep, because if he's awake, there are too many things to do. And now his gods of destruction skill has been imparted to Ron. So Beerus isn't much use anymore. In this way, time is still passing by day. Ron spent most of his time in God Realm and was practicing. But there is also a part of the time to go out to perform the task of gods of destruction. Destroyed are also some barren planets where no living things exist. Because Ron is not gods of destruction after all, even if he has the blood of angel, he still maintains his humanity. If he wanted to destroy the creatures on a planet all at once, he still couldn't accept it. Time passed day by day, and after the previous 3 years, Ron was also used to staying in the God Realm. In this way, 6 years passed through the gap again. In the past 6 years, Ron's strength has also undergone a qualitative change. At this time, his unit value has reached 10. In other words, his unit value at this time is exactly the same as that of Beerus. The combat power has also reached 7,000 dich. If you add Zizai's extremely easy skills, even if the opponent has the strength of GN level, he is sure to fight against it. Ron, I didn't expect you to practice so fast. In the past few years, your current strength has completely surpassed Master Beerus. Even if you don't use Ultra Instinct, your strength has completely surpassed Lord Beerus. At this moment, Whis spoke while practicing with Ron. In fact, although he said so, he didn't feel surprised in his heart. Ever since he knew that Ron could improve his combat power after recovering from injury, he knew that Ron would be able to reach the level of Lord Gods of Destruction Beerus in a few years. Now it took him 6 years to surpass Lord Beerus, which seemed to be expected. Have you surpassed Lord Beerus? In other words, my current strength has surpassed all gods of destruction. Ron held back his attack, and then a smile rose from the corner of his mouth, and he said to himself. In fact, he didn't feel very satisfied with this speed of improvement. It took 9 full years before his strength reached the level of gods of destruction Beerus. The combat power of one unit is improved almost every year. For Son Goku and Vegeta, such an improvement is indeed an existence against the sky. After all, it is estimated that Son Goku and Vegeta have increased their combat effectiveness by up to 1 trillion in 9 years. And my improvement in 1 minute is faster than their improvement in 9 years. In such a comparison, it is indeed very fast. However, compared with the real strong, it is indeed far away. Not to mention Zeno and Grand Priest, even if Angel is in front of him, he is powerless. So if you want to truly gain a foothold in this universe, you must have stronger power. Indeed, Master Beerus's strength is at the top among the 12 gods of destruction. And you now have more power than that Beerus man, and you also have the Ultra Instinct. After several years of training, your Ultra Instinct has become more proficient. It is estimated that even if you add up to 12 gods of destruction, it is impossible for you to be your opponent. Whis nodded with certainty. He didn't say that to make Ron happy. Rather it is. The gods of destruction of other universes, except Lord Gods of Destruction Quitella of the 4th universe, and Lord Gods of Destruction Vermut of the 11th universe are relatively strong. The strength of other gods of destruction is much weaker than Lord Beerus. And the current Ron, his strength has completely surpassed them. That's why I was so sure that even if the 12 of them joined forces, they would no longer be Ron's opponent. Their angel is very clear about the power of Ultra Instinct. Ah, Ron smiled, then stared at Whis and said, even if I am already stronger than gods of destruction, there is still an insurmountable gap between me and your angel, isn't it? I used to just speculate, but now I have a definite answer. The unit number of Angel Whis is 15, which is the unit of the monk. So the gap between myself and Angel Whis is still vast. As for Zeno and Grand Priest, their strength is even more unfathomable. Ho 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 ho, you can't compare like that. Maybe I'm not satisfied with my current strength, but you have to know that our angels have lived for at least hundreds of millions of years to have this kind of strength. And in just over a dozen years, you were able to increase your strength to a level beyond gods of destruction. It can be said that your talent has completely surpassed those of us angels. This will give you enough time, there is no problem in overtaking Angel. Whis smiled, then spoke. Judging from Ron's performance in the past 6 years, as long as he is given hundreds of years to practice, his strength can definitely surpass himself. In fact, sometimes he also wondered if Ron could live for so long like Angel. Then what kind of situation will his strength reach? After all, he is different from Angel. Angel always stands in a neutral position. And he doesn't care that much about cultivation. Because they simply can't fight with all their strength, even under any circumstances. So strength doesn't really matter much to them. Once they violate Angel's law, they will disappear completely. But Ron is a different guy. He seems to be pursuing a stronger mission in a higher realm all the time. If he has always maintained a passion, then his future achievements are absolutely immeasurable. And he doesn't have as many restraints as Angel, he can improve his strength unscrupulously. Well, you are indeed right. It seems that I am a little too impatient. After hearing Whis' comfort, Ron could only smile reluctantly. At least now I have nothing to do with Zeno and Grand Priest. And Angel would not attack him at all. So now I am very safe. But once he gets the attention of Grand Priest and Zeno, his situation will become more difficult. Those guys are the real powerhouses at the cutting edge of the universe. And have a weird personality. Even if you utter a wrong sentence, you may be completely wiped out by them together with the universe. Okay, let's stop here for today's practice. Whis withdrew the staff in his hand and said to Ron. And at this time, Beerus, the destroyer who has been sleeping in the palace for 6 years, woke up again. It's just that this time he woke up not because of the temptation of delicious food, but because he had a dream. An outrageous prophetic dream. Fine, Ron also nodded. After so many years of hard training, he is also ready to take a good rest for a while. Because as I thought before, the current self is not in any danger. Besides Angel, have you encountered any more powerful beings? At present, even the angels of the 12 universes should not do anything to hurt themselves. After all, angels in every universe are neutral existences. Whis, whis, and at this moment, Beerus's violent voice suddenly sounded from his hall. Hey, Master Beerus seems to have woken up. But why did Master Beerus sleep less this time? After hearing Beerus's shout, Whis held his chin with one hand, as if he couldn't figure it out. 447, and his cry this time was so irritable. Is it because I dreamed about the delicious food made by Ron in my dream, and then I was awakened by hunger? Most likely that's it. Beerus wakes up. Did he have a precognitive dream? Ron reacted quickly. According to the calculation of time, I have been away from the Earth for 9 years. When leaving at that time is the Cell event. 7 years after the Cell incident, a new enemy, Majin Buu, will appear. In the 2 or 3 years after Majin Buu, Gods of Destruction Beerus appeared, and Dragon Ball began. If calculated according to the time, my guess should be right. Come on, Ron, let's go see what's going on. After Whis finished speaking, he walked directly towards the main hall. Ron followed suit. At this time, Beerus was already sitting on the recliner in the hall. His brows were tightly furrowed, apparently in a bad mood. Hey, what's the matter, Master Beerus? Why did you only sleep for 6 years this time, which is shorter than last time? Whis looked at Beerus and asked. And seeing that their faces are a bit ugly, it shouldn't be because they woke up from a dream about delicious food. And in the long history of the past, although Master Beerus sometimes wakes up and gets angry, he has never looked so solemn. Whis, I just had a precognitive dream. A rival of mine appeared in the dream. Beerus didn't hide anything, and spoke directly. It was precisely because of this dream that I woke up so quickly. Precognitive dream. Whis was stunned for a moment, and then said, Master Beerus's prediction of the dream direction is not very accurate. Last time you dreamed that our idol would move to a planet near us. Didn't it also come true? Whis spoke lightly, obviously not believing what Beerus said. It's just a dream, there's no need to take it so seriously. Cut. This time it's different. This time it was a real prophetic dream. I met a very powerful opponent. Seeing that Whis didn't believe it, Beerus said with some displeasure. It's okay for this guy not to believe him, but now that he's talking to him so seriously, he doesn't believe it either. It's just a little too much. Seeing that Beerus seemed a little angry, Whis could only ask, then who is the rival in Master Beerus's dream? What's his name? I can check it out. But he still felt in his heart that apart from Ron in this universe, it was impossible for anyone else to be the opponent of gods of destruction. Ron, this guy is kind of outrageous, kind of special. So you can't treat him as a human being at all. Apart from him, I feel that there is no one in the 7th universe who can be the opponent of gods of destruction. Not to mention the 7th universe, even if you look at it for 12 months, you will definitely not be able to find a second person like this. Beerus stroked his chin, and said, oh my daughter-in-law. After thinking for more than 10 seconds, it seems that I still haven't remembered it. It seems to be called the god of something. Super what god? Beerus tried hard to recall, but couldn't remember the full name. Because we are like this, the scene that is extremely clear in the dream, once the dream wakes up, it seems blurred in retrospect. Over time, it will be completely forgotten. Whis, hurry up and help me find out if there is such a person. Unable to name the name in the dream, Beerus said impatiently. This feeling made him very uncomfortable. It's like the earwax in the ear, not all taken out, and it's like the crumbs of meat caught between the teeth that can't be picked out. This feeling is really uncomfortable. I don't have such abilities, Lord Beerus. You don't even know the name of the rival in your dream, how can I find it for you? You'd better remember the name. Wei Shi rolled his eyes and said to Bilu. Although he is an angel, he has many superpowers. But if you can't know the other party's name, there is no way to find out a huge universe by yourself. What's the name? Super what god? Beerus felt the pain of not being able to remember the name. With such a clear memory, he can't remember the name at all now. Then he said, but what kind of god is this guy called? Then he must be the god of the 7th universe. No, Master Beerus, there is no such thing as a super god in this universe. Whis shook his head resolutely. There are some other gods in the 7th universe, but these gods can't be the opponent of Master Beerus at all. This home couldn't possibly be a rival. It might not even match Master Beerus's one finger. Cut. How is it possible? Beerus still didn't want to just give up. This time the dream was very real, and it was a prophetic dream. Absolutely impossible to go wrong. And when Beerus was at a loss, Ron on the side suddenly asked lightly, Master Beerus, is the name of the rival in your dream called Super Saiyan God? Because Ron knows the Dragon Ball story all too well. The story of Dragon Ball Super begins with Super Saiyan God who appeared in the dream of gods of destruction Beerus. Super Saiyan God. Beerus froze for a moment, then his pupils constricted suddenly. Quickly said, that's right, that's the name. Super Saiyan God. Whis, hurry up and check it out for me. Is there a deity called Super Saiyan God? After getting the accurate information, Beerus immediately said to Whis. Whis looked at the gem on his staff, then shook his head and said, I'm really sorry, Lord Beerus, there is no such a character. Nani, how could it not be? Beerus was stunned again and finally got the guy's full name. Now Whis actually told himself that there is no such a god. But soon, Beerus turned his attention to Ron who was aside. Then he looked at Ron suspiciously. How on earth did this guy know the name of the Super Saiyan God in his prophetic dream? Could it be that he knows the existence of Super Saiyan God? Or, does he know what he dreamed about? Hey Ron, how do you know the 12 names of Super Saiyan God? Beerus stared intently at Ron. Of course I guessed. Because I've heard of Super Saiyan before, and the name you mentioned just now reminds me of Super Saiyan. Ron spread his hands and said, Super Saiyan. Saiyan. Beerus narrowed his eyes and thought about it. 39 years ago, when I started my lunch break, Frieza had already destroyed the entire Saiyan planet. And exterminate all Saiyan. But why does Saiyan still exist? What's even more outrageous is that I have never heard of what Super Saiyan is. Could it be that that guy Frieza dared to disobey his orders, and then didn't destroy the Saiyan planet? Whis, can you help me find out what's going on? Isn't Saiyan planet destroyed? Beerus spoke immediately. If Frieza is so unfavorable, I must completely destroy it this time. Good Lord Beerus. Whis nodded. Then the staff in his hand tapped the ground lightly. Then a projection appeared in front of the three of them. The first screen projected to play as the screen of Frieza destroying the entire planet. After the end of the screen, followed by the second screen. It's the scene where Son Goku and Frieza fight in Namek. And at this time, Son Goku has become the form of Super Saiyan. What's going on? Whis. I remember Saiyan's hair was black, how did that guy have blonde hair? And he was able to kill Frieza, which is a bit too much. Looking at the picture in the projection, Beerus said in disbelief. Although Saiyan claims to be a fighting nation, he knows how much they have. Frieza can wipe out the entire planet with just one finger. And all Saiyan's hair is black, but why only that Saiyan's hair is golden? It was really hard for him to understand. Master Beerus, it seems that the blonde Saiyan just now is the Super Saiyan that Ron said. After becoming a Super Saiyan, Saiyan's strength will be greatly improved, so it is not difficult to explain why he can defeat Frieza. Whis explained from the side. Indeed, even he did not expect that the Saiyan nation had such terrifying potential. Super Saiyan can kill Frieza. It's really interesting. Looks like my precognitive dream is not fake. Now after such a long time, maybe this guy knows something about Super Saiyan God. Beerus still squinted his eyes, and there was a surging desire to fight in his eyes. Help me find out who are the surviving Saiyans, and which planets are they distributed on. Beerus spoke to Whis again. Since there are still surviving Saiyans in this world, they must know the secret about Super Saiyan God. This guy makes himself so miserable. I must be good and fight with him. See if he has what it takes to be his own rival. Although he also felt that it was impossible to have Saiyan as his opponent in this world. But things have come to this point, if I don't go and have a look, I guess I will have trouble sleeping and eating. Yes, Lord Beerus. Whis nodded, then retracted the projection, staring at the gem on his staff. After 3 or 4 seconds, he spoke. Most of the surviving Saiyans settled on a remote planet called Earth in the northern galaxy. There are 2 surviving Saiyans, who live on a planet called Wampa in the blue galaxy. It is worth mentioning that Saiyan's Prince Vegeta is also on the list of survivors. Whis opened his mouth and introduced in detail. Whis, this guy is really amazing. Did he even find Broly and his son? Ron thought in surprise. You know that in the Dragon Ball Super animation, Whis just said Son Goku and Vegeta, and their foothold is on the Earth. He is never mentioned about the Broly father and son. But now, he even revealed the whereabouts of Broly and his son. Wampa planet, that is the barren planet where Broly was exiled. Oh, Vegeta, I have a little impression of him. I remember that he was very talented when he was a child. I don't know how far he has grown after all these years. Are you qualified to have a few tricks with me? After hearing Vegeta's name, Beerus said lightly. When he saw Vegeta for the first time, he felt that this guy was quite capable. By the way, there's that blonde Saiyan, where is he? Since he can become a so-called Super Saiyan, it is very likely that he knows the secret about Super Saiyan God. Beerus asked again. Both of them are now settled on Earth in the northern galaxy. Whis answered. Earth, how long will it take to get there? Beerus asked again. It takes about 26 minutes. 26 minutes. It's a waste of time, but I have to find that Super Saiyan God. Get ready, we're heading to Earth right now. Whis simply tidied up, but there was nothing to prepare. Anyway, it's only 26 minutes away. Ron, are you going to Earth with us? Beerus looked at Ron and asked. If this guy was left alone in the Gods of Destruction world, it would probably be quite boring. Okay, then let's go together. Anyway, if I stay in the God realm alone, it's meaningless. Ron nodded and said, it has been 9 years since I left Earth. I don't know what kind of changes have taken place on the Earth in the past 9 years. Although I know Dragon Ball very well. But after all, my own appearance has changed the trajectory of some history, because my own appearance has no chance to appear in a complete cell. I don't know how they are doing on the 18th. It just happened to lie down here, so you can see them. Okay, let's go together. Beerus nodded, and then continued. Why don't you go and prepare some snacks for us on the way? Perhaps, this is the real purpose of Beerus. After half an hour, everything was packed. Ron, Whis and Beerus head to Earth together. I have to say that this guy Beerus is still pretty cheap. In the process of going to the Earth, if you see some unpleasant moods, you will be destroyed in an instant. And at this time on the planet Supreme Kai, old Supreme Kai's bent body was shaking uncontrollably. The teacup in his hand fell to the ground and was smashed into pieces. My Lord Ancestor, what's the matter? How do you look like you have been frightened? God Jabbatat on the side quickly discovered the changes in the old Supreme Kai, and asked immediately. The Ancestor has never behaved so badly before. Even when Majin Buu appeared 2 years ago, he acted very calm, without such an expression of fear. But at that moment just now, I saw incomparable horror in the eyes of the Ancestors. Is there anyone in this world who can scare the Ancestors so much? And right now his whole body was trembling uncontrollably. Idiot, didn't you feel anything just now? The old Supreme Kai glanced at God Jabbatat hatefully, and then asked. In just a few minutes just now, 5 or 6 planets have disappeared. When such a thing happened, the first thing I thought of was that the adult had woken up. No, I feel like everything is normal. Jebbet shook his head in a dazed expression. He really didn't feel anything out of the ordinary. You stupid. In just a few minutes, several planets have been destroyed. Such an important matter, you, the Supreme Kai, didn't notice it at all. How can a piece of trash like you appear in Supreme Kai? The old Supreme Kai pointed at Jebbet God's nose and scolded because of his voice. Sometimes he really can't figure out whether the former Supreme Kai had their brains full of water, so they chose such an idiot to be the new gods of destruction. Forehead. After being scolded head and face by the old Supreme Kai, Jebbet God just scratched his head in embarrassment. But if you feel it carefully, several planets did disappear in just a few minutes just now. My Lord Ancestor, what happened just now? Do you know why those planets disappeared? Looking at the old Supreme Kai whose face was still full of fear, God Jebbet quickly asked. If the Ancestor didn't know the reason, he shouldn't show such fear. Don't you feel something else? The old Supreme Kai once again stared at God Jebbet and asked. Such a powerful divine aura, this guy has not felt it until now. After feeling it carefully, a look of surprise appeared on the face of Jebbet God. Then he quickly said, there are indeed 2 very strong auras, which seem to be approaching the North Milky Way. These divine auras have completely surpassed our Supreme Kai. Who are they? My Lord Ancestor. After feeling those 2 tyrannical breaths of God Jebbet immediately asked. At this time, his complexion also began to change. If the breath of human beings had reached such a tyrannical level, he would not be surprised. Because Son Goku and Vegeta, although they are all human beings, possess strength far surpassing their Supreme Kai. But now I feel the breath of God. And as Supreme Kai, the most cutting-edge gods in the universe, they are in the Supreme Kai world. But why is there such a powerful and terrifying aura? It seems that the sleeping adult has indeed awakened. From this point of view, many stars in the entire universe may suffer again. The old Supreme Kai seemed to be talking to himself. While speaking, there was still a dignified and fearful look on his face. Every time the adult wakes up, many stars will be destroyed. It is estimated that this time will be no exception. And now that he is approaching the direction of the northern Milky Way, it is very likely that the northern Milky Way will suffer this time. My Lord Ancestor, who is that Lord you are talking about? Why do you look so afraid of him? God Jabbatar on the side asked again. How come I never knew such a grown-up existed? Destroy, Lord Beerus. Lao Supreme Kai replied with an unusually dignified tone. Lord Gods of Destruction Beerus. Jia, the king's bit god, still looked puzzled. But before he could continue asking questions, the old Supreme Kai opened his mouth to explain. In this universe, in addition to our Supreme Kai who creates planets and life, there is a corresponding gods of destruction that destroys planets and destroys life. We, the Supreme Kai, are responsible for creating planets, and the gods of destruction are responsible for clearing them. Every time Lord Gods of Destruction Beerus wakes up from his deep sleep, it means that many stars will be destroyed. Quote. After hearing the old Supreme Kai's explanation, Jebet God also asked with a serious face, does that mean that the destruction of gods of destruction also follows certain rules of universe balance? Wrong. There are no rules at all. Lord Beerus's destruction is just a whim. The old Supreme Kai turned around and said, if the destruction of gods of destruction also follows certain universe balance rules, you don't have to worry so much. Especially Lord Gods of Destruction Beerus of their seventh universe, almost all the destruction comes according to their own mood and interests. The value of this planet will not be considered at all, or the comprehensive level of this planet will not be considered. Oh, after hearing the introduction from the old Kai Osho, Jabata just nodded dully. Because at this moment he doesn't know what he can do at all. Even the ancestors are so afraid, then it is impossible to stop Lord Gods of Destruction Beerus with the strength of their Supreme Kai. Could it be that his appearance will only bring disaster? My Lord Ancestor, don't we have nothing to do? Can't we stop Lord Beerus? Bite the bullet, Jebet God continued to ask. Although it seems that he already knew the result, he didn't want to get any chance from the ancestors. What can be done? Lord Gods of Destruction Beerus holds the rules of destruction in this universe. As long as all the creatures in this universe, he can completely destroy them with just one thought. The old Supreme Kai turned his head and said, and then continued to say with his hands behind his back, now, I hope that no one will make Lord Beerus too excited, and even say some stupid words that want to challenge this. After finishing speaking, his face became even more serious. My Lord Ancestor, who are you talking about? In fact, Jabata knew very well in his heart that what the ancestors were talking about was nothing more than the Saiyans of Son Goku and Vegeta. You must know that each of them is the master of trouble. Especially that guy Goku, he really likes to fight. If I let him know that Gods of Destruction, Lord Beerus is such a powerful opponent in this world, presumably he will not be able to bear the challenge at all. Cut, don't you know who I'm talking about? I think you know better than anyone else. Who else in this universe likes fighting so much? The old Supreme Kai roared loudly. You mean Son Goku and Vegeta? Although Saiyan really likes fighting, Lord Beerus is a god, and Goku and Vegeta don't feel human at all. And Goku and Vegeta are far away on the earth, they have no chance to meet at all. So on this point, please rest assured, Lord Ancestor. God Jebet spoke immediately. To know the breath of God, only God can feel it. Goku and Vegeta are indeed strong, and have fully possessed power beyond Supreme Kai. But human beings are human beings after all, and they cannot feel the breath of gods. So as long as Lord Beerus doesn't go to Earth, they won't have a chance to meet at all. I didn't expect you to finally say something that wasn't so stupid. Indeed, as long as Lord Beerus does not go to Earth, there is no possibility that they will meet. The old Supreme Kai also nodded and said, the Earth is located on a remote planet at the edge of the northern Milky Way, so Lord Beerus generally would not go to that planet at all. You must know that during these hundreds of millions of years, he has never been to the Earth. So this time, I probably won't go to Earth. And just when the two of them calmed down a little, suddenly a voice rang from the ear. Master Supreme Kai, please allow me to interrupt, were you discussing Son Goku just now? I'm really sorry, I have some sad news to tell you. Son Goku is not on the Earth now, but on my planet. That magnetic voice sounds like King Kai's. Nani, you mean that troublemaker Goku is on planet Kaio? Hey, you must not let Son Goku know about Master Beerus waking up. The old Supreme Kai spoke immediately. If Son Goku knows the existence of Master Beerus BCBI, the consequences will be terrible. That guy will do everything possible to find a way to fight Lord Beerus. If Lord Beerus gets angry at that time, most of the universe will probably be destroyed by him. The power of gods of destruction is definitely not an existence that Son Goku can imagine. And no human being can surpass Lord Beerus. Well, of course I know about this. It's just that this time Master Beerus washed too quickly. King Kai lowered his voice and whispered. At this time, Ron and Beerus's bodies were still advancing rapidly. In a few more minutes, they will be able to reach the northern Milky Way. After hearing the news, the faces of the old Supreme Kai and Jebet God changed drastically again. Know that Goku is on King Kai's planet. If he and Master Beerus were allowed to meet, the consequences would be quite serious. But this matter is completely beyond what they can stop. Now they can only pray in their hearts, Lord Beerus is not going for Goku and Vegeta. As long as Goku doesn't know the identity of Lord Beerus. As long as Lord Beerus isn't targeting Goku, the ending isn't too bad. Another 4 or 5 minutes passed. Whis is the one below King Kai's planet. Beerus stuck his head out behind him, looked at a palm-sized planet below, and then asked. Yes, Beerus scales. The planet below is King Kai's. Whis nodded. Oh, his planet is really small and pitiful. Beerus sneered, then spoke. You know, this planet is smaller than your average playground. Speaking of which, King Kai has lived on this planet for such a long time, how pitiful it really is. Hee. This is not thanks to Master Beerus. The food that King Kai made was too unpalatable, so the punishment you made his planet so small. Now that you say such things, I despise you, Lord Beerus. Whis sneered, and then gave Beerus a serious look. This guy made his planet so small, and now he actually says that his planet is pitifully small. Saying this, it is really more beast than beast. Since we're here, let's go down and have a look. It's a good time to ask King Kai about Saiyan, and by the way, see if his cooking skills have improved. If there is no improvement, I can consider making his planet lower. There was an evil smile on Beerus's face, and then he said to Whis. He is a majestic god of destruction, so it is normal for him to do some outrageous things. And in the eyes of other people, it is also a very normal thing. Because that's what the gods of destruction are supposed to do. And no one dared to say a word. Ooh, the food made by King Kai. I guess there is no progress. Whis showed a helpless look on his face. After eating the food made by Ron, he felt that the food made by other people was simply unpalatable. Remember thousands of years ago, the food made by King Kai was unpalatable. Now after eating the food made by Ron, my mouth becomes even more open. So the food made by King Kai, I dare not even think about it. HMPH. I'll go wherever I say, why are you talking so much nonsense? Beerus snarled directly at Whis. This guy has really been getting more and more insatiable recently. Fine, Whis can only nod, although I am not afraid of Beerus. But after all, he is Beerus's servant. If he was away from home, he still had to give him some face. Ron, are you coming with us? Beerus looked at Ron, and asked again. I won't go. You two go as long as you want, I'll go to Earth first to see the situation. Ron shook his head and refused. Because of the development of the next thing, he had already guessed it completely. On King Kai's planet just now, I already felt the breath of human beings. Then obviously, this human breath is Son Goku's. And the gap between Son Goku and Beerus, now it's a world of difference. Even if it is fighting, there is nothing to watch. So I have no interest in watching it. Alright, then you go to Earth first and wait for us. If you meet those Saiyans on Earth, ask them about the Super Saiyan God. After Beerus spoke, he and Whis went directly to the planet King Kai. And Ron's body flashed, and disappeared into the universe in an instant. Just over a minute later, Ron had appeared on Earth. After 9 years, I finally returned to Earth again. Ron's body stood in the air, standing in midair, talking to himself. Originally, I thought it would only take me 3 or 4 years to go to the God realm. But I didn't expect to stay for a full 9 years. I don't know how they are doing on the 18th. Go and see if she is still in the rental house I left before. With this in mind, Ron's body disappeared into the air again instantly. And at this time in the capsule company in Exodus, Vegeta is always practicing gravity. And at that moment just now, an electric arc suddenly flashed through his mind. There is a very familiar feeling. Vegeta stopped his training immediately. Then a look of astonishment appeared on his face. What happened just now? Suddenly, a very familiar feeling appeared. But I didn't feel any powerful aura. Vegeta's eyes instantly became heavy. The feeling just now is definitely not my own illusion. But I can't feel any breath. At this time, Bulma invited many of his relatives and friends on a piece of Wengyang north of the western capital. Have a luxurious birthday party. Call out. Almost in the blink of an eye, Ron appeared directly in the small courtyard of the rental house. At the same time, a familiar figure appeared in Ron's sight. Still has short blonde hair, wearing a pink sportswear. The figure is more proud than 9 years ago, and it looks more bumpy. Although there is no difference in height from 9 years ago, but the figure has become better and more straight than 9 years ago. And this person is naturally number 18. At this moment, with her back to Ron, she was watering several potted plants. Long time no see, number 18. Looking at the familiar figure in front of him, Ron smiled, and then spoke in a gentle tone. Unexpectedly, it has been 9 years, and she is still staying in this rental house. Bang! Hearing the voice behind him, No 18's body trembled violently. Then the watering can watering the flowers in his hand fell directly to the ground. There was an unbelievable look in those beautiful eyes. After being stunned for 7 or 8 seconds, number 18 turned around. Just saw that familiar face. Although they have been separated for 9 years. But neither man has changed much. Especially the facial features, almost no change. I didn't expect you to still be here. Looking at the unbelievable No. 18, Ron continued to speak with a smile. You must know that with the ability of number 18, it is a breeze to live in a big villa. And she still lives in this rented house. So obviously, she has been waiting for her to come back. Is, really you, Ron? The voice of number 18 asked in a somewhat dull voice. She wondered if she was dazzled. Before Ron left, he had told himself and number 17 that he might leave after 2 or 3 years. But after waiting for 9 years, there was no news of him at all. I didn't expect it to appear in front of my eyes suddenly today. For a while, she found it difficult to accept this fact. Of course it is me. Why, don't you welcome me? Ron shrugged, still with a handsome and warm look on his face. It's been 9 years, and for 9 years, you haven't heard anything from me. I thought you wouldn't come back. After a short period of surprise and confusion, a faint smile finally appeared on No 18's face. She seemed to be trying her best to hide her other emotions with a smile. Aren't you still waiting for me here? How could I be reluctant not to come back? Ron said something jokingly, and then said very seriously, I'm really sorry, I missed the appointment a little bit. I thought I would come back as soon as possible, but I didn't expect to make you wait so long. Cut, you're not so pretty. I didn't wait for you to come back. It's best if you don't come back, then this house will be mine forever. Number 18 cast a cold glance at Ron, and then said stiffly. In fact, after so many years, she has already seen her own heart clearly. In fact, since Ron saved himself from Cell, he has fallen in love with him. It's just that at the time, I was too embarrassed to admit it. Let's do it. After hearing what number 18 said, Ron could only give a wry smile helplessly. Although he knew that this should not be the truth on the 18th. Because if she really thought so, she probably wouldn't talk so much to herself at all. I came back from a long distance today no matter what, so why don't you invite me in for a drink of water? Afterwards, Ron continued to speak cheekily. Then come in quickly. It's your house anyway. Number 18 nodded, his tone seemed not as cold as before. Perhaps it is time that can change a person's character, or it may be because the attitude of the 18th towards himself has completely changed. After walking into the room, the layout inside is much better than when I left. It is full of girlish breath. Although number 18 is a modified artificial human, after all, she was also a normal human being before. Therefore, she also retains her girlish heart. The changes in this room are really big. Looking at the furnishings and arrangements around, Ron smiled and said, You should know that in the past, when I lived in this rental. At that time, I was in a very decadent period. After 3 years, there is no systematic patronage, and it is only the blood of ordinary earthlings. At that time, I was almost desperate, and almost every day I had to drink to relieve my sorrows. So many corners of the room are filled with beer cans. I couldn't live in the environment I was in before. Number 18 gave Ron a big roll of the eyes. When I came to this rental house for the first time, I still remember the dirty and messy environment in the rental house until now. Ha ha. Ron could only smile awkwardly, then change the subject and asked, by the way, where did they go on the 17th and 16th? Also, the energy emergency device in your body has disappeared, right? I remember that when I left, both number 16 and number 17 lived here. But now I don't feel their energy fluctuations nearby. The day after you left here on the 17th. He said that he has returned to a normal human being now, so he wants to live the life he wants, get married and have children, and live an ordinary life. This should be the life he wants to live. Number 18 opened his mouth and replied, although I was a bit reluctant to leave with number 17 at the time. After all, I only have one relative in this world. However, number 17 has his own pursuit and the life he yearns for, and he cannot stop him. Then number 18 went on to say, as for the goods on number 16, he left that day. As for where he went, to be honest, I don't know. Because in the past 9 years, we have never been in touch, let alone any news from him. So in fact, in the past 9 years, I have lived in this rental house alone. So this is all. Ron nodded. There is also the energy emergency stop device in our body that you mentioned. It is estimated that all the Dragon Balls were found on the 17th, so the power of Shenron was used to remove this energy in our body. Because I have never done this thing before, but the energy emergency stop device in my body has disappeared. Then it is obvious that this matter was done on the 17th. I see. In the past few years, I have really worked hard on you. Ron stared tenderly at number 18 and said, even the number 18 is indeed stronger than ordinary women. But it is not easy for a woman to live alone for 9 years. And you must know that no 18's personality is very cold, so generally he will not take the initiative to get acquainted with ordinary human beings. Because of her inner influence, he is still different from other human beings. Cut. Stop pretending here. Besides, I'm Android 19, okay. If I want to, there's nothing I can't get. Number 18 curled his lips, then raised his haughty chin and snorted coldly. Fine. Ron could only nod, because at this time, he really didn't know what to say to make himself not so embarrassed. In order to make up for the loneliness of number 18 in these 9 years. Both of them were silent for a long time. Ron finally opened his mouth and said, we finally met, why don't we go out to have a meal? By the way, let's have fun again. I haven't been to Earth for many years, so I'm familiar with it. Number 18 looked at Ron in some surprise, but finally nodded. In fact, I have been waiting for this day. Waiting for Ron to return to Earth. Although my character may be more arrogant and colder than ordinary women. But I am definitely not that kind of hypocritical person. She is also very clear in her heart that if something is missed, it is missed. So, cherish it. At this time, on the planet King Kai far away from the Earth, Beerus and Whis have arrived. Master Beerus is here to welcome you. If you are far away, please forgive me, Lord Beerus. King Kai hurried to pack in front of Beerus with a look of fear. As a god, he knows all too well the horrors of gods of destruction Beerus. This guy can destroy a planet, or even a galaxy, with just a snap of his fingers. The reason why my planet has become so small is thanks to Master Beerus. No, King Kai, it seems that you haven't had a good life in these 1,000 years. Beerus glanced at King Kai's planet again, and spoke slowly. It is indeed a little small, it seems that the punishment I received at that time was a bit too heavy. Anyway, this guy is also a minor god of the 7th universe. Thank you Master Beerus for your concern. Although the place is a little smaller, it's okay. King Kai immediately opened his mouth to answer. But your cooking skills should have improved this time, right? If you haven't grown up yet, I think your planet can be a little smaller. As soon as the topic changed, Beerus said to King Kai with an evil smile on his face. Forehead. Please don't worry, Master Beerus, since the last incident, I have started to practice my cooking skills hard. Master Beerus probably hasn't had lunch yet, I'll help you make it now. Seeing the evil smile on Beerus's face, King Kai hurriedly spoke. What he is worried about now is not that the food he cooks is not delicious, so that his planet becomes smaller. He is more worried about another thing now. That's the troublesome Son Goku on his own planet. Once he is allowed to meet Lord Beerus, even if this guy gets hot-headed and says some stupid words that want to challenge Lord Beerus, at that time, the consequences will be unimaginable. At this time, Son Goku was behind the wall that King Kai hadn't finished yet. Rubbing his head, he asked in confusion, "Who is that Beerus-sama? Why did the Kai-sama act so frightened after seeing him?" And before that, Lord Ghost King and Lord Supreme Kai were doing business in a sneaky way. You must know that Lord Kai, although he was very respectful when he saw Supreme Kai, he didn't have such a scared expression at all. But after seeing that purple cat at this time, he actually acted so scared. Is he even more advanced than Supreme Kai? If this is the case, I can't control the excitement in my heart, and I want to compete with him. Because since Majin Buu was eliminated, he has hardly encountered an opponent. It's so itchy now. And this time outside, Whis looked around, and then said to Beerus, "Master Beerus, I just felt that the Saiyan who defeated Frieza is on the planet King Kai." Nani? After hearing Whis' words, Beerus showed a look of surprise on his face. Isn't that guy on Earth, and how can a human being be on King Kai's planet? And after hearing what Whis said, King Kai's heart suddenly skipped a beat. The thing I fear the most will happen eventually. King Kai, is there a Saiyan hidden on your planet? Beerus stared at King Kai and asked. Forehead. At this time, even if he was afraid that Son Goku would see Master Beerus, he would not dare to tell lies. Because Goku is literally on his own planet. If Master Beerus finds out that he is lying, he will definitely be angry. The wrath of gods of destruction is not something he can bear. It is even very likely that many planets will be destroyed as a result. Yes, there is indeed a Saiyan on my planet. Bite the bullet. King Kai could only nod his head. Then, he shouted in the direction of Son Goku, "Goku! Hurry up and say hello to Master Beerus." After hearing Lord Kai's call, Son Goku hurried out from inside. Then he walked directly in front of Beerus. With a silly smile on his face, he directly extended his right hand and said hello, "Hey. I'm Son Goku." It's just that as soon as Son Goku's words fell, King Kai jumped up and hit him on the head with a hammer. "Goku, how can you be so rude? Standing in front of you is the most powerful gods of destruction Beerus in this universe. Master Beerus controls the fate of the entire universe, and is an existence that no one can compare with. Hurry up and say hello to me," King Kai reminded vaguely. The purpose of his saying this is to let Goku know that the Lord Gods of Destruction Beerus in front of him is definitely not an existence that he can compare with. So I hope he can dispel the idea of challenging as soon as possible. Gods of Destruction. Son Goku froze for a moment, then immediately put on a straight posture. Introducing myself again. "Hi, my name is Son Goku, please give me your advice." But no nonsense, Son Goku looks hilarious. "You're the guy who beat Frieza, right?" Beerus looked Son Goku up and down. It has to be said that this guy does have the strength to kill Frieza with ease. In the previous video provided by Whis, although this guy beat Frieza, it was not easy. It seems that in the past few years, his promotion has also been very fast. Now that he has the strength, even without turning into that Super Saiyan form, he can easily defeat Frieza. It seems that I didn't know enough about Saiyan before. How did Master Beerus know about this? Son Goku froze for a moment, but finally replied with a smile, "Yes, I did beat Frieza." He kind of wonders what the hell Lord Beerus has to do with Frieza. Not bad. I didn't expect that a mere Saiyan could grow to such an extent. Beerus first gave a compliment, then cut to the point and asked, "Have you heard of Super Saiyan God?" This is the real purpose of his coming to Northern Galaxy. Find the rival in your prophetic dream, Super Saiyan God. Super Saiyan God. Son Goku touched his chin. I do know Super Saiyan, but never heard of Super Saiyan God. Could it be that Saiyan can become a god? Then, Son Goku shook his head and replied, "I only know about Super Saiyan, but I haven't heard about Super Saiyan God." Cut. You really don't know. Beerus curled his lips, seeming a little disappointed. After all, it took him more than 20 minutes to come to this Northern Galaxy. If you get nothing, isn't this trip in vain? Hey King Kai, have you heard of the name Super Saiyan God? Then, Beerus turned his gaze to King Kai and asked. I'm so sorry, Lord Beerus, I've never heard of that name either. King Kai also shook his head in a daze. He, like Son Goku, does know of Super Saiyan's existence, but never heard of Super Saiyan God. And in this universe, how could there be a demihuman God? Excuse me, Master Beerus is looking for that Super Saiyan God for something. King Kai bit the bullet and asked again. He had better ascertain the purpose of Lord Beerus's visit now. You don't need to know about this. Since you don't know, there's no point in staying here. Since the Saiyan in front of me doesn't know Super Saiyan God, getting Vegeta will know some news. After all, that guy is Saiyan's prince, he must know more. Come on Whis, let's go to Earth and ask Vegeta. Beerus turned his head and said to Whis. Master Beerus, won't you have lunch with me? King Kai frowned and spoke. You know that guy Vegeta has a much more violent temper than Goku. If that guy doesn't have eyes and offends Lord Beerus, the Earth will definitely suffer. And although Goku said that he is a little brainless sometimes, but he can't listen to some movements more or less. But that guy Vegeta is completely different, he won't listen to the advice of people like himself at all. At this moment, Son Goku suddenly said, Master Beerus, since you are gods of destruction, you must be very powerful. Then can I compete with you a little bit? Just a little. As he spoke, Son Goku also used his 2 fingers to draw a distance of 1 millimeter. Goku, you idiot, how could you say such ignorant and stupid things to Lord Beerus? Quickly apologized to Lord Beerus. After hearing Son Goku's words, King Kai was directly frightened. Although he knew that Goku was aggressive at first, he was surprised to say such a stupid thing on this occasion. Could it be that what I just reminded him was not obvious enough? Beerus-sama, gods of destruction who can wipe out the entire galaxy and even the entire universe in an instant. He would actually propose a contest with Lord Beerus. Hey, Lord Kai, don't be so nervous, I just have a little discussion with Lord Beerus. Son Goku said indifferently, with a simple and honest smile on his face. Oh, you actually said you wanted to compete with me. Beerus also had an incredible look on his face. The person who had just turned around also turned back. Then with a sneer on his face, he said to Son Goku, I haven't heard such stupid words for a long time after living hundreds of millions of years. To be honest, this guy in front of me is really good. It's beyond my previous thoughts on Saiyan. Being able to defeat Frieza shows that he does have some strength. But if that's all, he doesn't have that qualification yet. Want to challenge gods of destruction, I really don't know whether to say he is ignorant or stupid. Or ignorance and stupidity. Even Whis on the side had a look of surprise on his face. It seems that this Saiyan is a bit too self-righteous. How dare you say such a thing in front of Lord Beerus? You must know that his current strength is not much weaker than when he first met Ron. How could he be a match for Lord Beerus? Master Beerus, you must not take it seriously. Goku was hit on the head when he was a kid, so he talks nonsense sometimes. King Kai immediately stood up and quickly explained. If they made Lord Beerus unhappy, Son Goku would not be the only one who would be implicated. Most likely the entire northern Milky Way. Humph. Avoid King Kai for me, and watch out for me to destroy you. Since this kid wants to experience the strength of gods of destruction, I'll let him experience it a little bit. Beerus glanced at King Kai indifferently, and this look directly scared King Kai enough. The body took several steps backwards. Excellent, Lord Beerus. Thank you Lord Beerus for your fulfillment. Son Goku bowed respectfully to Beerus. At this point he was very, very excited. You must know that I haven't encountered a strong opponent for a long time. If Master Beerus is really that powerful, it must be a very exciting battle. Don't be stupid, Goku. Master Beerus is completely different from the opponents you have encountered in the past. He can blow you to the end of the universe even if he takes a breath. Looking at the eager Son Goku, King Kai reminded Son Goku again. I'm even more interested if the King of the Realm says so. After Son Goku finished speaking, his expression became serious. Although he usually looks carefree, once fighting, he is still very serious. Hey, I watched you fight Frieza before, why don't you hurry up and become Super Saiyan? Beerus spoke to Son Goku. Although the Saiyan in front of me can defeat Frieza, but I can wipe him out completely with one finger. Maybe after becoming a so-called Super Saiyan, I can more or less let myself feel the joy of fighting. Ma, indeed, if you fight Beerus-sama in this form, it would be a bit too rude. Son Goku also agreed and nodded. Then he clenched his fists, and golden arrogance erupted from his body instantly. Then directly into the form of Super Saiyan. And Son Goku's breath, don't get crazy growth in an instant. Oh, is this the so-called Super Saiyan? His strength has indeed improved tremendously in an instant. However, such power is still too weak for gods of destruction. Although somewhat surprised, Son Goku's power is nothing to Beerus. Even in his eyes, Son Goku's fighting power is not even comparable to a mosquito. Then, please advise, Master Beerus. Son Goku looked straight, and then his body flashed out instantly. I have to say they are really fast. Because at this time Son Goku's basic combat power has reached more than 3 billion, and after turning into Super Saiyan form, his combat power has directly increased to 150 billion. Shish. The moment his body flashed out, Son Goku directly launched a storm-like attack. His punching speed was so fast that King Kai couldn't see any movement at all. But such punching speed and movement, for Beerus and Whis, seem to be slowed down thousands of times. It can be said to be slower than the speed of a snail. With a slight movement of Beerus's body, he escaped all the attacks of Son Goku calmly. How did this happen? Why can't my attack touch his body at all? And even his expression hasn't changed at all. Is the strength of gods of destruction really so powerful? Son Goku looked at the calm Beerus, with a serious look on his face. In this case, then become Super Saiyan 2. Son Goku took a step back, and then Shuangquan gripped again, pulling out a stance. Afterwards, the terrifying golden gaseous flames erupted directly from the body in the form of jets. There are also blue electric arcs around the body. The eyes are more slender and resolute, and a fringe of bangs is constantly dancing in front of the eyebrows. After becoming Super Saiyan 2, Son Goku's fighting power doubled again. But even so, the result was the same as before. His attack still couldn't touch Beerus's body. At this time, Beerus already felt that this kind of contest was no fun. Because compared with Ron's strength, this guy is a million miles away. Hey, if you still have stronger strength, hurry up and show it. If not, this boring and meaningless contest can be over. Beerus said to Son Goku indifferently. Compared with the previous contest with Ron, this kind of contest is completely different. There is no joy in fighting at all. Son Goku stopped what he was doing. Then he said to Beerus, "How Jiao Master Beerus's strength is really unfathomable. It seems that I can only become Super Saiyan 3, and this is my last strength." After Son Goku said, he began to gather his chi quickly. Immediately afterwards, a huge change took place in the appearance of the whole person. The blonde hair hangs down to the waist, the eyebrows have disappeared, and the brow bones are raised high. Judging from the facial features, it does look like a villain. Oh, it's really possible to improve again halfway. It's a little stronger than before. However, it's still disappointing. Beerus sighed and said. At this time, Son Goku, who became Super Saiyan 3, launched an attack on Beerus again. After becoming Super Saiyan 3, whether it is strength, speed or explosive power, there has indeed been a qualitative improvement. But Super Saiyan has a very fatal weakness, that is, the energy consumption is too fast. If you can't win the battle in a short period of time, you will become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered after the energy consumption is almost the same. Son Goku clenched his fists violently, and the strength on his arms seemed to be full of strength. The blue electric arc around the body is also more turbulent. It has to be said that the power of Super Saiyan 3 has far surpassed that of Super Saiyan 2. Almost at the same time, Son Goku attacked Beerus directly. His speed has become faster, but only relatively speaking. From Beerus's point of view, there is no difference at all. Because to him, a snail is a snail, even if the speed is slightly faster, he can't see any change. Ha ha ha, ha ha. Son Goku almost used both fists and kicks, constantly attacking Beerus. But every attack he made was easily dodged by Beerus. Even if he attacked from behind, the result would be the same. It's like Beerus also has eyes behind him. Even if I become Super Saiyan 3, my attack still can't touch her body. Gods of destruction, is it really that strong? It's not an existence that the previous opponents can compare with at all. Son Goku frowned, but continued to attack like a storm. The attack speed is indeed very fast. Swipe swipe. Punch after punch, right foot and right foot. But from the beginning to the end, even the hem of Beerus's clothes could not be touched. After attacking hundreds of times, Son Goku retreated backwards. Then he said, Master Beerus, if you keep dodging like this battle will never end. All right, since you said that, then, I'll show you the horror of gods of destruction. Beerus nodded. It just so happens that this battle is already boring. So end it quickly and go find the Super Saiyan God. I hope that the so-called Super Saiyan God, the rival of my dreams, will not let me down so much. Call out, ha! This time, Son Goku's body flashed out again. With all the strength in his body, he punched Beerus. Snapped. But in the next second, his hard blow was easily blocked by Beerus's index finger. Then he narrowed his eyes slightly, and flicked his middle finger directly on Son Goku's heartless. At that moment, Son Goku's body flung out. Call out. But Beerus fell down in an instant, and behind Son Goku, his palm lightly pressed on Son Goku's shoulder. Even though it looks like an understatement, it doesn't take much effort at all. But Son Goku's body hit the ground directly like a falling meteorite. A huge deep pit was directly smashed into the ground. And Son Goku's eyes lost their luster in an instant, and then he exited the state of Super Saiyan. Cut. Beerus snorted coldly. Although the Saiyan in front of me is really good. If it is placed among human beings, it can be regarded as the best among human beings. However, there is still an insurmountable gap between him and the broken BCBI, God of Destruction. Goku. King Kai ran up to Son Goku with a worried face. But after seeing that Son Goku was still alive, a look of rejoicing appeared on his face. It seems that although Son Goku's actions are very reckless this time, Master Beerus does not intend to kill him. Otherwise, Lord Beerus would have killed Goku for his reckless actions just now. Whis, go to Earth. Beerus walked in front of Whis, and then said lightly. Hope that Saiyan Prince Vegeta knows something. See you next time, King Kai. Beerus greeted King Kai, and then the bodies of the two turned into a brilliant streamer and disappeared on the planet King Kai. Meanwhile, Son Goku also struggled to sit up. Wow Kaka, was that the power of gods of destruction, Lord Beerus just now? We are simply not the same level of opponents. However, Master Beerus's power is really exciting. After Son Goku did it, instead of feeling frustrated because of his defeat, he was excited. Goku, I know you Saiyans like to fight. But I advise you to control your excitement. I have already said that Lord Beerus is definitely not something you can handle. You are completely out of the same dimension. He is completely different from the opponents you have encountered before. You should have thanked Master Beerus for your mercy just now, otherwise, you would have completely disappeared by now. Looking at Son Goku, who was full of excitement, the North Ghost King yelled loudly. Goku likes fighting, and he doesn't reject it. Because Saiyan itself is such a character. But while you like fighting, you should also have some brains. You should also understand the gap between yourself and your opponent. If one sees a strong opponent, even an opponent that he can't surpass at all, he is so excited. This is not keen to be aggressive, it is pure fool. Ah, I see, Lord Kai. Son Goku nodded quickly. He understood everything King Kai said. And the gap between himself and Lord Gods of Destruction Beerus, he also knows better than anyone else. It is estimated that even if I break through again on the basis of Super Saiyan 3, I may not be the opponent of Master Beerus. Master Beerus just said he was going to Earth. That person called Super Saiyan God seems to be very important to Master Beerus. His purpose of going to Earth this time is very likely to find Vegeta. So I'd better inform Vegeta immediately, and hope he won't act more recklessly. If Master Beerus is really angered, then the Earth will be completely lost. King Kai said to himself. And just on Earth, Ron and number 18 have already eaten. The relationship between the two seems to have become very delicate. It's the kind of people who like each other, but don't know how to speak. I'll take you to a good show. After eating, Ron spoke to number 18. Beerus will definitely come to Earth today, when Super Saiyan God will have a fight. To be honest, this is also the song of the famous scene of Dragon Ball. Although Beerus may not even use 1% of his power, it is still very interesting. After all, Super Saiyan God himself has seen it in comics and anime before, and has never seen the birth of Super Saiyan God with his own eyes. This time I went to have a look. Well, you can go wherever you say. Number 18 nodded, but did not refuse. Anyway, she has nothing to do at home by herself, and being able to be with Ron, no matter what she is doing, she feels good. Because I don't know when he will leave the earth again. So cherish the time we have together. Walk. Ron took number 18's hand and disappeared in place in an instant. When it reappeared, it was already on the giant cruise ship where Bulma was hosting a birthday party. And the moment Ron and number 18 appeared, they directly attracted everyone's surprised eyes. Nani, that guy is Ron. When everyone's eyes came together, Piccolo recognized Ron immediately. Then, Keelan and Tien Shinhan also recognized Ron. Because they are more familiar with Ron than others. Search, it's that fool. I just said, why did I have that familiar feeling before? It turns out that this idiot is back. Just a few minutes ago, Vegeta couldn't bear the pressure of Bulma, and also came to this birthday party. But unexpectedly, the Ron suddenly appeared here. He disappeared for 9 full years, but he didn't expect to appear suddenly now. The so-called friends are extremely jealous when they meet. When Vegeta saw Ron, he clenched his fist tightly. You must know that 9 years ago, this guy beat himself twice until he lost consciousness. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.